knows the game, and I think that what you're going to see is you're going to see CBCS and CGC as the two major players, with PGX picking up a lot of the residue of people who don't want to spend that much money or don't want to wait that long for their books. And now with Midwest Comics coming aboard, they guarantee a 14-day turnaround. So we're going to see. I guess when I get my first Midwest Comics, my slab back, I'm going to post it online, and people are going to say, "What is that?" Because they're just not really well known yet. And but they're going to try and take a shot. There's a group in Europe called Halo, HALO. And you're going to start seeing Halo books out there now. They're in Europe, and they have about a staff of, I think, 15 or 18 graders, and we'll see how they do. The European market is new, relatively new into the grading industry. A lot of people won't ship overseas, things like that. And I was lucky enough to have my French customer that trusted me, and he knew I wouldn't slip a bad book in for one of the books he handed me. I'm not that type of guy. So, but now if they have their own grading system, they will be able to grade their books there, and a whole new market will open up via Facebook and eBay. I know eBay is what they call the graveyard of comic shopping. But they do serve a purpose. We're all looking forward to the next guide to come out. Everyone's excited about that. The first 50 or 60 pages will be market research. We'll be able to read what Clint's Comics is doing and what the boys at Mile High and Chuck are doing, and seeing what's hot and what's not hot. And the market research is always an interesting tool. But they said, from what I understand, the Golden Age books are going to take a bump of about 21%, with Silver Age going to take a bump of about 16%, and Bronze about 8%. In pricing right now. Moderns are going to be flat, from what I understand.
Good.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think the variant covers and I think that, well, from a collector's point of view, I think the variant covers, of course, a lot of young kids who are just getting into the hobby. It's a little expensive to buy, 5 variant covers, things like that, and you're collecting a lot of titles. When I started collecting comics, there weren't that many titles. You had the anthology books, Tales to Astonish, Tales to Suspense, Journey into Mystery, Strange Tales, and of course you had all that Golden Age horror stuff that was still around from the Atlas years, and you just, then they spun off into these Daredevil and Fantastic, then the Fantastic Four was there, and Spidey came along, but Marvel didn't have a shitload of different titles. Now you see titles all over. I have a small selection of Charlton books, and most of them are high grade stuff in the early Charlton books. They were a Connecticut company that went out, I think, in '88 or '89. They couldn't compete with Marvel or DC, but they had some great artists work for them over the years, and even their books are starting to show a bump in pricing now on some of their early stuff. And a lot of the artwork is good. Listen, you're not going to find a lot of artists like King Kirby, or Steve Ditko. Ditko's work is, anybody who looks at a comic. Anybody who's been in this business and looks at a magazine and they know it's a Steve Ditko, because they know it's Steve Ditko, because his work is so distinctively Ditko, that it just, his books are hard to find, in great condition, especially, Spidey, it stopped in issue 38, and he had a falling out with Marvel, and there were a lot of issues over the years, but they settled. Stan said that they settled in court and did an outside settlement after the court case. Ditko's wife, also Kirby too. Kirby also settled with him too. His wife and children. I think they got $600,000, I think, from Marvel at that time. But it's good. Yeah, I think everyone would. Well, you know what? If you read the Golden Age of Marvel, I mean, a lot of these guys were paid by the piece. And most of them died broke, or pretty close to broke. There wasn't much left, But when guys like Todd McFarlane came along and Neil Adams, they weren't going to be taken advantage of by the big companies. They were going to have an agreement where not only did they get paid, by the piece and by the actual work, they were going to get paid a residual for how many books sold. Plus guys like Alan Moore and Todd and Neil and those type of guys were much savvy, sharp, modern day businessmen. Were guys like Schuster from Superman and those guys, Siegel, and those guys were just great artists, but they didn't have the business sense of a gnat. They just didn't. They loved to work and everything, and a lot of them, Ditko was the only one who, out of the bunch of those who had money at the end. When he passed, his estate had over $10 million. Now, no one knows how he got that money, but a lot of people conjecture is that he must have settled with Stan Lee and Marvel a while back, and he must have gotten a pretty penny. He never mentioned it to anybody. I know people who wrote him letters and said, "Oh, you're the greatest. Spider-Man changed my life. I love the comic," and he always was very kind, in sending back the letters. He used to spend each day in Central Park feeding the pigeons, and I was told that he used to hang out with Larry Storch. Do you guys know who Larry Storch is?
Oh yeah, F Troop.
F Troop. He played Corporal Agon. Both in their 90s, and they used to hang out together and just kind of relax and talk. But Larry Storch never mentioned it. He's been asked about it. He never ever responds about it, and it's just kind of it's kind of nice, it's kind of nice to see that a lot of this early art's been being appreciated now. But pricing has gone crazy. I mean, that Western I put up today from 1950, I got 4 offers today, one for 150, one for 200, but it wasn't for sale. I just wanted to show everybody what, the work of Joe Manley. Did you know the story about Joe Manley? He was up and coming. He would have been, Stan Lee said he would have been probably the greatest comic artist of all time, better than all of them. And he wore glasses, had very bad eyesight, and I guess he was having dinner with another guy. I don't remember the guy's name. He was having dinner with him, and he went to. I'm trying to think what happened now. He went to take a train, and I'm trying to think, who did he have dinner with? He was just a great artist. Joe Manley. He was having dinner with I'm trying to think. My memory is still good. Oh, he was having dinner with John Severin. They were having dinner together, and Severin, he left his glasses on the table, and Severin went out to give him his glasses, and he had missed them. And he got on a train, and he was going between cars while the train was moving, and was killed. Yes. I think he died at the age of 38, I think. But he would have been, Stan Lee talked about him till the day he passed. He thought that Joe Manley would have been the greatest artist of all time. He had a tremendous amount of talent, just raw talent. And a great artist from the 50s, a lot of Atlas stuff. And, he was 32, I believe, 32 when he passed. And he was just a great artist. And his stuff now, like Carl Burgos and Bill Everett, those horror Western guys from the 50s and early 60s, are just outrageously expensive. I'm very lucky to have a good collection. I have about 400 of their books. And I'm very, very lucky to have a good. I sell them rarely on. You see it on Comic Book Group. I'll put one up because they get nagged constantly by people. Cindy will tell you I get 200 emails a day. When are you putting up a horror from the Golden Age, or when am I putting up a Western for sale? Because there are certain people who just will not buy a lot of these modern stuff. What have you been buying? Anybody buying anything good out there?
No, I bought a slab for $35.
Oh, what'd you get?
I bought a All-Star Squadron #1, and I bought it because it's it's signed by Jerry Ordway.
Oh, okay, nice book.
We actually went through it a few weeks back.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah, because it was staring me in the face. I'm like, yeah, well, let's do this one.
That's a nice book. But if you and Tom want to come up with a date in November, that you want to do a real giveaway, get maybe 15, 20 people on. We'll put something really nice out. You guys will come up with the format, how you guys want to decide who's going to get it. You're not obviously neither one of you two are going to get it, but whoever comes on, let's see if we get some people on with some interest and we put something out. Maybe we'll do a nice golden age or a silver age, something interesting. We could do a slab, whoever you guys. We could do an old western. We could do an old horror. Something interesting that people like. I'm very, very lucky in the sense that somebody brought me ice water. In the sense that although the market is very, very narrow for these golden and silver, early books, it's the people who have a lot of money that are in that narrow market. If you talk to people and you say that, like I sold a book today, a Marvel, an old book. In fact, I haven't packed. Sid, can you get me the book in that box over there? I haven't packed yet. It's going out tomorrow. It's laid against the wall. It's a nice book and it's low grade. And I put it up for $1, and I got over 100 messages before the bidding started. Hey, I'll buy it privately. Hey, I'll do this. Hey, I'll do that. You know what I mean? But I said, no. You know what? Once I put a book up, for $1, I want to be respectful and allow people to see the book. And it was from 1957. I'm shipping it out tomorrow. I've got to get some bubble wrap. But here it is. It's a Mystery Tales. January. Mystery Tales. Put my light on here for a second. Oh, from January 1957, and here it is here. And it's just, it's just a nice book. It's one of my originals, and it's one of my rare low grade books. But I had a slab because I knew that I wanted to get it encapsulated because I didn't want the air hitting it much anymore, and I thought that maybe it was time, even though I kept on changing its Mylar every year. So I sold it today for $60 to a young guy who's just getting into the hobby this last year, and he strictly buys from me now, and he just wants to collect the early stuff because he's so impressed with the artistry of it and the stories, and it's bringing these early books are bringing a lot of these new comic collectors into the hobby, and they're buying these books, but they're selectively buying. Most of them can't. A lot of these guys who aren't heavy. This guy who's bought today isn't a heavy hitter. He's a nice young man, nice kid, and everything. And he got it for $60, which I thought was a great buy because the guides are about $110. And the last one sold, I think, for $149. But I wasn't going to put a reserve or anything on it. I just wanted someone to get a good deal, and he got a good deal on it. And I was pretty happy for him, and he was thrilled. He's going to hang it up on his wall and everything. And when these young people are coming into the hobby relatively now, getting in now, you have to dealers like me you have to give people a break. You have to, it's not only about the money. Can't only be about the money. People who love the genre, the art, the stories, you got to give them a chance to get some good books at a fair price, even if it's below guide. Nobody can. Listen, I wasn't going to lose any money in that book. That book cost me 12 cents, and it cost me about $40 a slab. So it wasn't gonna. I'm not losing money, and you make somebody happy, and you got a guy who's always gonna like you. You're always gonna like him and respect one another. You want to give a guy a break. So I was thrilled he got it. I really am, and he wanted me to run the book over to his house. He lives in Ohio. He wanted it so quick. It's kind of scary, you know what I mean? But I ran out of bubble wrap, so tomorrow morning I'll be able to get the bubble wrap and wrap it up for him and send it on out. I always send 2 day, 3 day anyway, so I'll have it soon enough. And of course he'll post. And of course he posted online. Look what I got from Doug Adamski. Thank you very much. That kind of thing. It was very, very nice. And you got people. Out there now who are jumping into the hobby, and you gotta give them a good deal. Let them enjoy some of the old stuff, And there's more than enough money from the heavy hitters who spend money, and outbid each other and fight online and things like that, or even at shows. We used to have guys come to shows, and two guys looked at the same book. It's kind of wild, things like that. But someone new, coming in, we want to give them a break. You want to be nice to them and everything. And I'm happy. The there's been a certain novelty with not having any shows now, with everything canceled. I live here in Maine, and our big show is the Portland Comic Expo in Portland, Maine, and run by Casablanca Comics. Great guy, good store, good pricing. He's got 2 stores actually, and it's a big show. It's, you got to remember, I live in Maine. When you have 10,000 people come through for a one-day show, you got from 9 to 5. You got a lot of people coming through, and people come from all over New England. In Massachusetts, we have people from Massachusetts, Connecticut. We have dealers come from Massachusetts and Connecticut and Vermont, and get a lot of buyers, a lot of people. I do very, very well for the one day. I do very, very well, and with these shows canceled now, and with comic stores, having a rough time limiting people coming in, and it's just the industry's changed so dramatically when everyone is going to Facebook now. The ones who don't like eBay, don't like eBay's fees or whatever they might not like, are now going to these Facebook auctions, and I sit and I watch. I watch a girl from Indiana, and I watch I watch people from California. My friend Pete Swan from Cincinnati. So I watch these. Say again?
I know Pete.
He's a great guy. He's got a great collection. He's he's done. He bids occasionally on some of my books, and he sends me messages, how he likes them and everything. And he's good. He's honest. He's and he doesn't take advantage of people, and I like that about him. When I just kind of enjoy watching these auctions. They give you a real idea of what is happening out there in the industry now, and how it's forever morphing because of the COVID. And if whether people are going to take the vaccine or not, or whether it's going to morph or change now to something worse in the fall and winter, whatever that might happen, I think people are going to retreat to the online sales. And I think that the people who are, living in who are in their homes, who go on and look for a certain particular auction 3 times a week, or they browse 3 or 4 auctions as they float on their computer during the day, they pick up a thing here and a thing there, and they build their collection. And I have a collector here in Maine, a nice gentleman, lives in the next town from me. We've become very good friends. Our families, we're friends with him and his wife, and Cindy and I are friends with them and everything. He has a monster collection. His collection's got to be worth $500,000. He's bought some books from me. Bought some books from me, mainly golden and silver, but all high grade. Now, this is the kind of money as long as comics continue to rise at the level they're doing, and he'll have a great little nest egg for when he retires. If he wants to, build a house for his children or pay for their education, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And you have, with one of the things that I learned a long time ago, and I heard Chuck from Mile High Comics talking about it. He's one of the largest dealers in the world, and he once said that the key to comic books and owning comic books and one day selling it or just one day keeping it, passing it down to your children, whatever it might be, is you want books that are as scarce as possible, books that you cannot find, that are rare and hard to find, at the best grade, and you want to get them at the best value. And I think that is for most things, but I think for comic books more than anything, scarcity is a very, very important thing. When people, I kind of find this funny because I've talked with dealers over the years and at the shows, and one guy said to me, you go to eBay, you say you're looking for a book like Tales to Astonish number 44, which is what they call a key, and let's assume you go on and you see 100 of them. You see 2.5, 3.5s, a couple of 8.0s, things like that. And you realize that day eBay has 5.5 million comics listed. And out of that, only 100 are on that one title. So even if you see 100 books on eBay, that's a pretty scarce book and hard to find. Now, things like Superman, the very, very early ones, things like that. One of my favorite books, which I have slabbed at 9.0, Amazing Spider-Man number 4, the first Sandman. That's not for sale. That's going to be for my son's first house. But that book You'll see them online, but you won't see them at 9.0s, very few 9.0s. So it's all about the scarcity now. Your collection must be getting pretty big, Bill?
It's actually thinning out because I still have to get my full collection of all my collectibles and books are still at my buddy's house down in Rhode Island, and I still got to get because I had people all set to go down and get them, and then they're like, "Oh, it's a new no travel state," because we got to make up more stuff about the election infection, and go from there. So I think we can go down and get them soon, probably like another week or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? We're going to have a new president in November, and it is what it is. So for the people in the comic book industry, and we have conservatives and liberals on both sides, and it's the comic book world will continue on, and will because most and some of the books, while they've become political or politicized over the recent years, you're going to have the whatever the new president will do. If he decides to lock the country down, then you're going to start seeing, more for the comic book industry. You're going to see a lot more people heading back to the internet and saying, you know what? Well, they're not going to do San Diego, New York, or HeroCon, or we're not doing Granite in New Hampshire. Okay, you know what? I was going to spend $1,500 this year. I'll spend $1,500 online. And I'll just watch the auctions and just see what's out there, and I'll spend my time. Listen, nothing's like going to a show because you get to see so many varied dealers and so many different prices on items, and you get to talk to dealers and see what's hot and what they like, and it's just an amazing experience. But if they take the experience away for health concerns and things like that, like I told you, Portland is canceled, and I had a very good little show I did once a month. Cindy and my son Dylan, before Dylan became college age, we used to do a show in Saco, Maine, run by a guy named Joe Luciano. Good man. Good man. Now he's mainly toys and baseball cards, but of the 40 tables, there are only 3 comic. So we build a niche, me and the other 2 dealers over the years, and we used to get some pretty heavy hitters come in. Now he would get 300, 400, 500 customers, which is very, very good for a small in a like a Elks Club type of setting. Getting that. But we used to get 30 or 40 comic people come in, and they come to my table for the gold and silver, and they go to the other guy across from me for more mod and things like that. The other guy had some of the slabs. He would bring modern slabs, and he would sell that and that kind of thing. And we did very, very well. And those people have kept in touch because they wouldn't do the big shows. They were very more comfortable in smaller shows. And now they'll send me a message and they'll say, hey, what do you got? Anything good? I got this to spend. I got 200 to spend. You got something good for me? Things like that. And I just post some pictures to them, and they say, oh, I like that. I'll take that. And I miss sitting and having a coffee with them and kind of schmoozing around. And I used to, we do the show from 9 to 3. It's not a long show, and you get there about 9, and they'd be lined up for the baseball cards, which not my thing. But they had a lot of non-sports cards too that I love, like the old Dark Shadows cards and the Hogan's Heroes cards, which are my favorites. Those kind of things. But the comic people arrived always later, about 11 o'clock, 11:30, and some of them would sit around till we'd say closing time, like at the bar. It's closing time, boys. Time to go home. That kind of thing. And as I'm loading up the my truck, they're still looking at the books on the table, and we kind of miss that. It's a lot of fun. Are you a collector too, Tom?
Tom?
You collect?
I don't think you can hear anything.
Ah. Tom, are you there?
I think he's got to shorten a wire.
You're not on the internet, are you? Huh? Okay.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Are you there, Tom?
We just heard him, and then, hello.
Tom, are you there?
Tom, hello. Hello, Tom.
I think
back yet.
Can you not hear me?
You might want to send them a message.
I just did. Hello.
Hello?
Are you there, Tom?
Can you hear us? Oh, he couldn't hear us.
Is he a collector, Bill?
Yeah, he is. He's a big Marvel guy.
Ah, okay. That's good. That's good. It's a lot of fun.
So when I usually, I'm mostly a DC guy, and he's mostly a Marvel guy. So we go back and forth.
Yeah, I understand.
I think he's trying to come back in now. We'll see.
Yeah. I think we see him there, coming on.
He's winding around. Well, while we're doing that, let me give a shout out to our sponsor, SpinWiz Comics. You can check them out at spinwizcomics.com. There's a downloadable app both for iOS and Android. It is a comic and webcomic discovery platform for comic readers, hosting mostly independent comics, currently hosting 86 indie comic creators with a library of over 400 titles and growing. And some of the notable publishers are Source Point Press, Tidal Wave, Marcosia, A Wave Blue World, and Arcana. Majority of the content is all free to read. PDFs are available if you want to help support the creators, and 70% of any profits go right to the creators. Pretty soon they're going to have a print-on-demand service. So you see a book you like and you're enjoying it, you want a physical copy, and they'll be able to do that for you. There's also a built-in loyalty program. Once you're signed in on your app, readers get one entry for every page of comics they read, as long as they're signed in, for monthly, quarterly, and yearly giveaways. Check them out, spinwizcomics.com. Hey, Thomas is back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Thomas, what kind of books do you collect?
Oh, me? I do a lot of Silver Age, primarily Marvel. I really like the early Silver, and I really love the Bronze stuff. I guess that's when I first started reading. But that's, like you were asking a while ago, what we're working on. I've been trying to complete Fantastic Four from about 75 until about 400. And I've got about 75% of it done.
Hold on 1 second. I got to show you this book. Sin, can you pull me in the closet? I just sold the Fantastic Four. It's in the envelope on the right. It's got to go out tomorrow.
He's going to rub salt in your wounds. Don't worry about it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
No, never. It's just that, you know what? It was one of my favorite series. I kind of like it. I have 41 of the first 50. I just sold this one to a collector in Rhode Island. He's a pretty big collector. It's about a 9.0, number 44.
Oh, sweet. That's Gorgon.
Yeah, just a beautiful book, white pages, and I have a second copy that I'm keeping, but I decided that I would. He's such a big Fantastic Four fan. He said, you know what, I got to pick up that Gorgon. I'm getting ready to put up Fantastic Four number 24, the infant.
With the guy with his hands up like
yeah,
this, right?
yes.
Impossible Man or something crazy.
Yeah, I have that one.
The Impossible Man.
The Impossible Man is number 11. I have that book, but that's not for sale. That's a great book. Of all the Fantastic Fours, I've had every one from 1 to 100. But of all this, my favorite of all of them was number 13, the introduction of the Watcher. That is my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
I think that.
So he's in 13.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think that is the greatest of them all. I just love the way the cover looks on the moon and everything, and it's just a killer book. Great Kirby stuff, and he stayed with the Fantastic Four a long time, and I know that when we used to meet Stan Lee at the VIP area, he used to say hello to all the dealers, and I think that secretly, and I don't think he ever admitted it, but his eyes always gleamed when he talked about the Fantastic Four. He smiled about everything else, but when he talked about FF, I think he had that gleaner's eye, like that is the one. That was my book. That was the book that I loved the most, and I think 1 through 100 are just just great books. Tom? Do you have number 100?
Yes, I bought a 100 a while back.
That's a
100.
That's a great book. What an amazing cover! I love that cover. I mean, as busy as it is, Cindy, can you go into the bin and pull out another Fantastic Four for me? Oh, behind the thing, behind the thing.
Yeah, the thing.
The thing.
Such a New Yorker over here.
It's a scary thing. It's a scary thing. Living in Maine, there are a bunch of New Yorkers up here. I thought I'd escape them, but there's many here as most places.
Oh, that's clean town, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you. But it's the Fantastic Four is a great book to collect. It really is, and I'm going to show you one that I have that I'm putting up on Saturday, just to give you an idea. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to pull it out for you. Here it is. It's about a 9. I actually pulled it out of a slab.
Yeah.
The Infant Terrible, and this is number 24. And I always was fascinated by the cover. And for years, I didn't like it. I always thought, wow, this is a really bad cover. But it's gotten a lot of popularity over the years, and I think that that it's just, it's an interesting story. A lot of the FF stories, were really, really good. And I think the characters, that they developed over the years, and as people came in like Crystal and, things like that, joined the FF storyline, I think that the series became really, really well. You have anything slab, Tom, or are they all raw?
Actually, they're all raw. I've had some slab books a long time ago. I had a handful of them, and I actually sold them and bought some more raw books. I've been debating. It's like I want to send some of my books off and get slabbed, but it's like you were talking earlier. You send them to CGC or whoever, and it takes 6 weeks, and then you're not sure on the final price and all that. It just, and then unlike y'all two who are in New England, I live in rural Georgia. I've complained with William about this. My closest comic book shop that has anything worth buying is in excess of 2 hours from my house. I'm 2 hours from Savannah, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, or Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful. I'm sure it's a beautiful area though, because we live in Maine. We're considered rural, also very, very quiet, and we're about a mile from the ocean. But we've been to Savannah. Savannah's a great town, good restaurants. We've enjoyed it over there and everything. And you have some very good comic book stores in the South. I mean, some really good and some very, very, very good collectors down there too. What I'm seeing now is I'm seeing a lot of new collectors coming out of the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, a lot of people getting into comic books over there in what they call the Rust Belt. And the problem with sending to CGC is the wait time now. It's just, it's been a problem for a long time because they're getting inundated with young kids, 18, 20, 21, buying these new books and just dumping these variants into them. You go onto eBay, 80% of them are the variants and the new stuff from 2012, 2004. Naturally, they're all 9.8s, 9.9s, but we used to laugh at the shows when the variants first came out. We used to say, "What is that?" With gold and silver, if you wanted something that was rare and hard to find, you got a double cover once in a while, things like that. Or Jack Kirby scribbled his name on a book at the Roosevelt Hotel in 1973, so you had a Kirby signature, which is hard to find, things like that. But a lot of these modern ones now that you see now, I've read some of the stories. I got to tell you, I'm not impressed with the writing, and I'm certainly not impressed with the art or the paper. Since you've been collecting your Silver Age books, you know what the paper is, the difference between the paper they're using then and what they use now, which feels like plastic almost, you know what I mean? And it's kind of interesting,
Well, and I think that's one of the things me and William talked about before. Marvel has gone to that really thin cover material, and the paper is it's thin and high glossy. And then DC swapped over, and they've gone back to almost and it's still a higher quality, but it's more that newsprint feel. It just feels better on their new books. And some people don't like it, but I mean, it just feels better to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yep. Many, listen, I'm older than both you guys. I'm 63, and I used to put silly putty on a book and peel off the print. I can't tell you how many books I ruined over the years having fun doing that. You know what I mean? But it was kind of cool doing it. And a few years back we tried the silly putty on these new books, and you couldn't get a thing off of it. Absolutely, not a drop of print.
God,
it's kind of wild, kind of wild.
What's both of us and has twice as much hair?
Yeah.
That ain't right.
What straw did I draw?
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I mean, a lot of the artists today, when you see a book, you see 4 names on the cover, and I have absolutely no idea who they are, because I really, I got to tell you, I don't think I bought 100 books in the last 20, 25 years. The only books I'll ever buy are hard to find stuff from my French customer, and a couple other customers sent me wish lists that I don't have, so I have to really search till the next month to try and find something and try and get it in their wheelhouse, price wise and scarcity and condition wise. Because everybody, the bigger collectors, the ones who are out there with big $1 million collections, those kind of guys are looking for a certain book at a certain quality. And one of my buyers, he's a funny guy. He buys high grade stuff from me and a few other big dealers, and he always says, you know what, I buy the book, I either CGC it or I put it in Mylar and leave it alone for my kids. He says if I want to read it, I'll buy a coverless copy for $4 on eBay. You know what I mean, and enjoy it. But I'm not gonna, open up a $900 book just, from most of the time when I go online in a video, they always see me wearing gloves. I'm always wearing gloves when I show a book, and because of the oils in our skin, and you want to be careful with them, that kind of thing. And I think that as the years go on, and as these books from Golden and your Fantastic Four collection will start to skyrocket because of the scarcity of the good books are getting hard to find. When a few years back when you went on to look at Fantastic Four #1, you had 1,200 of them. Now you have 100 of them there on. Just there's not a lot out there. And each year that goes by, it's less and less of these books. It's just the way it is now.
They disappear. Something happens to them, and like you were talking about earlier, giving somebody a good deal. That's the same thing. We got to bring in new people to keep the hobby going.
Yep, without a doubt.
Die.
Without a doubt. COVID is a terrible thing, but for many comic book dealers, it's been going online, and they've been doing very, very well on Facebook pages. There's certain ones that go on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, certain ones go 4 days a week, once on the weekend, and they're actually working out of their stores, and they're using their camera, and they're selling their books, and they've got to pay the rent, they got to pay their employees and their health insurance and all that kind of stuff, and they just use this medium to try and make a profit at it, you know what I mean? And it's kind of interesting because a lot of people, as the COVID continues to embrace and impact the country, people are going to get used to just going online and doing their business, their comic business online. I like to look at my son all the time. My son was supposed to be away at college, but he's home now taking his 5 courses online, because the colleges are discouraging you to come up. If you can take your stuff online towards your degree, stay home. You know what I mean? And stay safe at home. So that's what he's going to be doing this year. But for a perspective of comic books, I think that that as you see them, people are getting used to these auctions now. They're tuning in on Mondays at 8 or Wednesdays at 6. And they're making their day. They're tailoring their day around it. Especially the ones who aren't working. the ones who, or remotely working from home, and they can get off for an hour. They don't have to be on the stock exchange online all day. They can get off, or they don't have to be selling, cosmetics or something, as a buyer or a seller, and they get off and they go in the comics for 45 minutes an hour. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been on an auction. I see someone write, "Hey, listen, I'm off to my computer for an hour. I got an hour to spend. What do you got that's good? Give me something that's good." Or they'll give a specific. I want a Fantastic Four. I want a Spidey book, And of course, that deal will rush and grab that because they only have a little window before they go back to work. And I think that's the way the industry is changing. And I think that it had to morph. It had to morph to try and address the comic book, because there aren't many comic book stores left in the country. Growing up in New York, we had 60 of them in Manhattan. I mean, they were everywhere. I mean, every 3 blocks there was a comic book store. Everybody was crowded. But now, with Metropolitan and those kind of guys, the strong has survived and the weak have been pushed out due to taxes. In New York City, taxes are high, and, the crime is a problem, and there's been a lot of theft in the stores, things like that. So, it's changed, and a lot of these people have just gone on. Brick and mortar might be a thing of the past if this COVID stays with America for a long time, and people will just become online sellers, Facebook sellers, and they'll just enjoy the medium and have people watch and enjoy and read the blogs and things like that. And they'll just, like I do, I send my books out Mondays and Tuesdays. I try and get them out Mondays and Tuesdays. This week is an odd week because I took a couple of days off, so I'm shipping out tomorrow a few books. But, I'll ship out sometimes 15, 20 books on a Monday or Tuesday, and never having to go to a show, never have to drive, pay for a motel or a hotel, or eat out my pizza. I'm like an animal, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, and you save a lot of money. You really do, because the book at the show is really going to sell about the same price you're going to sell it here, and if you're able to give somebody a break because you are saving money from all the expenses, I think that that these buyers should be getting a break, and I think that it's a good thing because people are building their collections, and you go down to your basement or you go into your living room, or even some of our comic fans now, they have comic book rooms. I don't know if you guys have seen some pictures. They've got them in frames and they've got them lit up with light bulbs around them, and I've seen some remarkable, and I always am fascinated by some of the things that these guys do to highlight their comics. You know what I mean? And one guy that I met from I think he was from Nashville, Tennessee. He had all the big books: Fantastic Four #1, Spidey 129. He had them in a wood case with beautiful glass and movie lights around them, flashing. And it was like kind of wild, and I'm saying, wow. He said, you know what? I just love it. I come down, I bring people. We have a little bar here. We sit around and talk comics, you know what I mean? And it's just, people don't touch. They kind of look at it. And it's just people being so innovative, about how they showcase themselves. It just isn't any more long boxes of, as far as the eye can see, of stuff labeled Spidey or Tales to Astonish. Now people are really into, showing and promoting their stuff, and even and half of them don't even sell their books. They just want everyone to see. They love people saying, "Oh, that is so cool, man. That is so cool." Because I'm one of the ones saying it. You know what I mean? And of course, for a guy like me who's been around a long time selling this stuff, the hobby has changed dramatically. Just dramatically. There are more people collecting now than ever before.
I saw one guy that actually built a bat cave, and it was remnants from Adam West 66 all the way up to like the Nolan stuff. And he built like a home theater in there with the big recliner seats, and the screen was in the shape of a bat, and he had the Shakespeare head that DC released, because it would actually operate one electronic device. You would just connect it, wire it to whatever electronic device you wanted it to work on. A friend of mine had it, and he would go and he would flip the switch, and his projector screen would lower from the ceiling in his movie room. This guy had it, so he would flip the switch, and he had built like a fake bookcase on rollers, but he had it all wired in. So he would flip the switch, the bookcase would move, and you would walk down like a short spiral staircase into his bat cave. And he had like costumes on mannequins, all over the place. He had the Robin costume without a mannequin, like supported up, like from when Joker killed Robin and all kinds of stuff. It was amazing.
You gotta love it. You gotta love the innovative personality. Doing things like that. It's in my son's room, I have now he's moved to another bedroom, but in one of his rooms I have the Hulk 181 poster on it and everything, and he's had that since he's a kid and all that kind of stuff. But now that is tame now compared to what people are doing out there.
Oh yeah.
And,
I had a local shop to me that I used to go and buy some wall books off once in a while, and I would go to, like, whenever they would have artists that were local to the area, like for Free Comic Book Day or whatever, come down and do signatures and quick sketches for the fans and stuff. They put a post up, and they're always buying collections, always, and they just got a whole bunch of new, really nice stuff in. Not old enough for you, but they had like some nice Herb Trimp Hulk books come in. And they had 2 copies of 182.
Good books. It's a good book.
It's still a good book, but they were both signed by Trimp.
Ah, that's good. They're good. What? It's a good reading book. It's got some very nice art in it.
Oh yeah. Before I could even get my message off to them, I had just sent them a private message, because I know one of the guys that owns the shop, and he got back to me. He goes, before I even read that, they were both sold.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They had only put it up, online like 2 minutes beforehand.
These things that are desirable sell very, very quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very careful when I put my books up. You Bill, always see my books when they go up. I get tons of responses, and I get a lot of private messages. People asking, "Hey, I'll buy it right now. Just pull it down." Things like that. It's a very, very hot hobby now, and just like for Tom, who's collecting, the Silver Age Fantastic Four, you can't lose money on it. It's impossible. You'd have to be on another planet to lose money with those books now, because if they're in any kind of decent condition, they're appreciating so quickly, especially the 100 and under, because so many people, love that title, and you have a whole new generation now, and I think that the movies, like the Spidey movies and the X-Men and the FF movies, some
movie stuff and everything.
Yeah, or the DC stuff.
Every time they announce something, all the sheep come out of the pen.
Yeah, and also, I think that that's created some new fans, and what I also think, it's brought back some people who are my age, who are jumping back, who sold their collections in their 30s and their 40s, and now they're in their 60s. They kind of retiring, they enjoying life, they did well. They're going to jump back into the hobby again and start buying again, and I think that's helped. Listen, I'm not a big fan of any of the movies. As far as I'm concerned, the only superhero movie I truly loved was the Batman, the Nolan series. Those 3 were truly the ones I truly loved. I liked the latest Joker. I thought the latest Joker was very, very good, very well done. But the Spideys that were made, and the FFs that were made, and the X-Men were all kind of corny, campy type of movies that really wasn't for me.
The FFs were terrible.
Yeah, it just really wasn't for me. But I think that the Nolan brothers got Batman right. I think that I saw an interview with Christian Bale, and he talked about actually meeting with the Nolans and sitting down with them and how they wanted to portray Batman. Because Batman is supposed to be a troubled, dark character. He's not supposed to be the Adam West that we saw in the TV series. Even though Adam West did a great job, and I'm a personal fan, I loved him. You know what I mean? I think that the trilogy was a fabulous. Every time I watch it, I say, "Oh my God, this is good stuff. This is good stuff." And it's just, it is what it is right now. But they pump out these movies, and it's an amazing thing, because I was talking to a guy who knows Alec Baldwin, and he told me that Alec Baldwin and him were in a conversation at dinner, and he said that Alec Baldwin, I don't know if you guys remember, he did The Shadow many years ago, many years ago. It's got to be 20, 25 years ago. And he said,
God.
yeah, at least, I'm dating myself. And he said to this guy that they were having lunch together and talking business. And he said that you don't see any classic movies anymore. There's no more Gone with the Winds or The Godfathers. Everything is superheroes. And now you see actors like Glenn Close and people like that who are getting jobs in these movies. Acting in these superhero fantasy type of movies. But there's no more Sophie's Choice or The Deer Hunter. No more classic stuff that you can say, oh my God, now this is a movie that will stand the generations. You know what I mean? And now they're just pumping out, stuff. And they can put in Disney and everybody
or remaking classics into garbage.
Yeah, and I mean Disney can pump out stuff till doomsday. They have so much money behind them, and people just love to go. I mean, Cindy and I were in New York City with our son, and we went to see one of the Batman movies, and they charged us $36 a ticket in New York City. A lot of money. You know what I mean? From the popcorn and everything else, it was $150 a night to see one of the Batmans. It is what it is. But the point is, more than anything, is that they're getting it because there are schmucks like me paying for it. I'm not the only schmuck. You look at me and think I'm just the only schmuck in the world. There's millions of schmucks like me who go out.
There's plenty of schmucks in New York City.
Yeah, I mean they go out there and they spend that kind of money. And this movie was only out maybe 5 or 6 weeks. Can you imagine what these schmucks were paying opening night or the second day? They were paying $80 a seat or $100 a seat. They were getting it. They were lined up around the corner for a mile.
Before I was in the chair, my rule would be is I would wait until it would open on a Friday, and I would go on a Monday because I worked nights. So I'd go for the matinee show, like the 12:30, 1 o'clock show. And, they'd be 7 or 8 people in the whole place.
Sure. Yep.
And,
the thing about it is,
stretch out,
Yeah, with these movies, everybody wants to see it first because they want to tell the story. They want to get online and say, hey, this is what happened. Everybody wants to do that, and it's just, and these movies, and I'm as guilty as everybody else. I've got to see them all. It is what it is. I've got to see them all, and sometimes there's some morality to it, some good messages, some of the stuff that they do, things like that. But the truth is, there are very few, that really are truly great acting, truly classic movies. It's not like someone's going to dig up, like someone would find an old Gone with the Wind spool on a roll and say, oh my God, look at this Gone with the Wind. No one's going to pull that out of a time capsule and say, oh my God, look at this great Fantastic Four #2. I mean, the second one, whatever it might be, people will say, it's all kind of campy kind of stuff, But I'm gonna hit the road because I'm gonna have a little coffee with Cindy. But I think, would you guys be up to doing like a giveaway?
Yeah, I'll get something worked out, and Thomas and we'll talk it up, and we'll work something out for around Thanksgiving time. And
yeah, let's do it like the week before Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? And Bill, what I'll do is I'll send you the book in the next week or two, and you could start promoting it. All right, and we'll get some people. We'll get some people to come on and kind of like a little Thanksgiving fun. You know what I mean? You and Tom can decide who's going to win and how they're going to win. Maybe a trivia question, kind of something vague and hard to know, something like that. Something that's going to make someone use some of their brain matter. You know what I mean? Things like that. And then
Googling.
Yeah, and Bill, you'll just send it out from where you are. You know what I mean, to the winner. That's what. And listen, Tom, it was a pleasure meeting you. Keep on collecting, you know what I mean? And if you ever need something special, you'll get it at the best price from me. You know what I mean? If you ever need anything, just send me a message. Just go Facebook me and become friends on Facebook. And if you ever see something you like, I'll give you the best buy possible. You know what I mean? And Bill, think about it, talk it over with what you want to do with Tom, and let me know, okay? Over the next week. All right. Nice seeing you guys.
You too.
My coffee. Take care now.
All right. Take care.
Hey, he's a nice guy.
If you can get a word in edgewise.
Well, he's been reading for a long time, so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to rifle through this book quick?
Yeah, we can. Let me bring it up here. There it is. Yeah, we
There
talked
we
about
go.
this we talked about it last week. We got some of it in before our internet cropped out, but where do we get? Third page in? Because we did the first 3 pages. This is, for those that missed it last week, this is Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1, the first Steranko by himself. Steranko is the writer, editor, and Sanat is the anchor. We started talking last week. For those, like I said, don't remember. This book's important because, 1, it's first signature Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. by Jim Steranko. 2, it also has the first set of silent pages in a comic. The first 3 pages are silent until you get here with the life model decoys and the nice little Scorpio badge as Nick Fury decides that somebody's actually out to kill him. This actually, I think, is where we died last week, wasn't it? With the guy trying to the money from the mobster.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah, so if you follow along with the story, there's actually 2 different storylines here. One, you've got the Nick Fury storyline where he is trying to find out who Scorpio is and who is killing him. And then you have a mobster here that's going to pick up some money that's owed to him at a casino. And then you have Flip Mason, who looks remarkably like our mobster, only wearing glasses. And they kind of get crossed over.
And you'll see why.
Yep, you see why? Yeah, I love, like I said, we flipped over here. This is our racing. This guy comes in and he's winning a race through the accident and everything. But the whole point of this whole page is to look and you see our Scorpio tattoo right here. So he's obviously connected to the people that were trying to kill our hero, Nick Fury.
And the most exciting part of this is that first panel where that crash is happening, because I had Matchbox cars like that when I was little.
Matchbox cars like that?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they were all in one piece, opposed to the crashed car, but,
Matchbox. There's Matchbox car collectors out there too. You've got that, and then we talked about a little bit last week how Steranko can just lay out a comic so well. I love the little flag. It divides up these 2 panels. He's just so good at it.
In the squiggly lines.
Oh, yep, the squiggly lines. All this, I don't know what this is or how he did that, but it's amazing. We move from our car scene back to Nick Fury, who's actually in the desert, and he is testing it's essentially like a force field to protect him. And these people open fire on him. His fellow S.H.I.E.L.D. agents open fire on him to actually test the force field, which holds up. And Nick says, hey, that's not a problem. The EPG system works like a charm. He didn't get hurt or anything. Well, they're going to entrope phase barrier guard system. They're going to move on from here, and now they're going to do a nuclear test. And the Countess there says, well, we're going to drop an H-bomb on him, but if you pay attention, this is man that's also working for Scorpio.
Scorpio tattoo again.
Yep. So it's an underground agent. So while Nick's waiting on the H-bomb to fall, he's actually sitting there.
Lights a cigar.
Yep, a cigar, always with a cigar, sweating, and he says, oh, man, the breeze feels great. And when he realizes he feels the breeze, he realizes that the system is off.
Yeah, that was a big oh shit moment.
Yeah, I'm going to die. They're going to drop a bomb on me, and I'm not Bruce Banner. So he makes a call back into headquarters and tells them to fire up a rocket sled that's about a mile away from him, I think he says.
Yep.
Something. And he's got to haul butt to get to it. And he tells them, just keep it going. It's 2.5 miles across the desert. And get moving. So he has to haul ass. And as the rocket sled's moving, he manages to jump onto it and hold on for dear life as the damn H-bomb comes in and blows up.
His grip is a little slippy, but if he lets go, he's dead.
Yeah, he's going to die. And then all of a sudden, we get a big old beautiful splash page as Nick
Oh
Fury
yeah, this is fantastic.
crashing into the Shield headquarters, confronting this person who we Scorpio. And then, as you can see, Dum Dum's down, Contessa's down, some other people are down. They're all unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they always call him the Shield Ramrod. Comes crashing through the doors.
Yeah, and just look at that page though.
Yeah,
It was. I mean, look at the background. How insanely detailed that is.
and that's one of the reasons that I've read that Steranko finally left Marvel is he literally couldn't keep up with the production schedule that they wanted, and he couldn't put the quality of work in that he wanted to, so he left.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, and if people ever go and look at him from the other stuff he did, I mean, he did movie posters for like Blade Runner and freaking, I think he did Aliens, he did Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah.
I think I read somewhere that he was the reason Indiana Jones wears a hat because he put it on in the poster design. I mean, he had a huge career after this with book covers and stuff. I mean, almost like Neil Adams. When Neil Adams left, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Dell, I think it's Dell Publications or DAW, did the Tarzan books. They reprinted all the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan books in the 70s and 80s. And if you go look, all of those beautiful covers are actually Neil Adams drawing Tarzan.
I have one of those around here somewhere.
Yeah, I've got most of that set. They're all black. The covers are all black, and then the Neil Adams prints are on there. But I mean, you've got that. You've got Steranko doing book covers, and then Frazetta was doing all the Conan stuff. So you can't go wrong.
Well, mine, I'm not sure. Oh, excuse me, what year it was from, but it had the cover was the hardcover was it was a hardcover. The hardcover was like a darker color, but the dust jacket was in full color. And I never read the book, but I was trying. They in the back of this first book, where they would normally put an appendix or glossary, whatever.
Yeah.
They put the Ape to English dictionary.
Yes.
So I was trying to memorize the English to Ape dictionary for when I went to the zoo to talk to the monkeys. Hey, I was 7. Leave me alone.
I got you. I've actually seen those. I may have one of the that may be reprinted in one of mine. I know exactly what you're talking about. So Nick,
that splash page is great.
Yeah, crashes in and confronts Scorpio, who manages to shoot over Nick. Nick still gets the drop on him. If anybody ever wondered why Nick had such a thing for Contessa, that this right here should put an end to that.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, you can see. But see, here's another. I mean, we really don't. I don't know how Steranko got this effect, but it's amazing.
Oh, the swirly snow.
Yeah, the swirly snow, whatever it is, and still Nick manages to grab Contessa, and this guy's a psycho, and he makes a run for it. And then I love comics are the only medium that can do this. You turn a page and the story completely changes. This is a picture. This is a black and white picture. If you look at it, that he's colored in.
Wow.
That's not drawn. That's like a photograph. He somehow managed to transfer over. See, look at all those people. But that's why he was Jim Steranko. So here's our mobster and Flip Mason. And this guy he calls him Hackett. Hackett, I hardly recognized you with glasses, baby. Here it is. Take this $200,000, nice and neat. And then let's split, man. We shouldn't be seen together. Ain't no questions. And if you were reading earlier, Flip Mason was needing money to pay off his gambling debts. So he takes the $200,000 the guy gives him, doesn't say anything, and leaves. And then here comes Hackett, the actual.
And they both walk by each other.
Yeah, they walk by each other, but they're looking the other direction, so neither one of them sees the other one. And Hackett comes in and he says, he meets the guy. He's like, "Where's the money? Are you trying to double cross me?" And Hackett tells him he's going to teach him, so he shoots him. He kills this mobster.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back to Nick Fury, who is fighting Scorpio. He's managed to get knocked down, but keeps
And he's got a different swirly effect on.
Yeah, right here. That's almost like a Kirby crackle.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Well, now I'm not sure if you do know. You know that Steranko's first work at Marvel, because when he applied, he wasn't allowed to actually pencil his own books first. Stan Lee put him inking and finishing the artwork on Strange Tales over Kirby. And that was his job for like 12 issues or something. He had to learn how to draw comics over Kirby.
He had to learn how to draw the Marvel way.
Yep. Kirby laid everything out, and then Steranko inked it and finished off the art. But he keeps fighting. But now here in the middle, for those keeping up with our two storylines that are intertwining, this is our city with the mistaken identity, and the mobster Hackett is now left the casino, who's looking for the other person that may have gotten the money.
Mm-hmm.
Who
that
is
running away?
Running away because somebody just gave me a case of $200,000 in it. I'm going to leave before they change their mind and want it back.
I'd be gone.
Exactly. So here's our fight in the S.H.I.E.L.D. Headquarters, which must be somewhere close to downtown. And Scorpio makes a run for it, heading into this, it's not really a jet or helicopter or something, this flying, hovering vehicle. And Hackett starts shooting he's actually shooting at this man and shooting into the air.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when a stray bullet catches the other, the space station, whatever you want to call that, hovering vehicle, and it crashes. And Contessa says, well, Scorpio's ship went down. Somehow it went out of control. It went out of control because somebody got shot.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're standing there looking at it, our man, Mason, Flip Mason, is calling his wife to tell her how wonderful everything's going to be, that they've got plenty of money and they're going to go to San Francisco and everything's going to be beautiful. And he's thinking about it. And then, boom, the telephone blows up. And actually, it's not the telephone. It is the suitcase. Had a bomb in it. It really didn't have $200,000 in it. And then Nick Fury and them hear the explosion and they see it. But they don't understand. And here's the line, please deposit another 50 cents. But nobody's going to be depositing nothing.
And the telephone cord is separating panels.
Yep.
And then he just washes out to like black and white at the bottom of the page.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you find out who Scorpio is until like the 5th or 6th issue. If you read this series,
Mm-hmm.
I know your man Doug, when he was on early, he was asking if you had this copy. I said I've got all of this run up until issue 15. I think is the last issue, which introduces the first Bullseye. I don't have the last 3, but if you read them all, like I said, it's a fairly continuous story up until about, like I said, 5 or 6. I think Steranko left at issue 4, and then Roy Thomas come on, I believe it was, and then they had various artists. Barry Windsor Smith even does 1 issue. But I loved this series. just a great all around books. And most of it is for the dead serious writing Steranko gives, and the art is just amazing to me.
Oh yeah, I know they had chastised him like more than once because they're like, you can't do that in a comic book.
Yeah.
So he would be like, when they were supposed to be doing a little naughty, be, Nick would look out through the doors as he was closing the doors. He goes, I'll be right back. I got to go polish my gun. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that. There's one. There's one. I gave a talk on comics, at a local library a couple years ago, and I actually brought it up. There's one famous scene. It's just a page that has very little writing on it earlier, and it shows Nick and Contessa going into a room, and then it's like it shows one panel is her lips, and then another panel is Nick, and then a panel is like a shirt laying across the dresser, and then belt, and on and on and on. And what I read is at the bottom it had there was a rose in the last panel, like laying on the floor, and apparently the editor said that was too sexually suggestive for the readers, so they made Steranko change it. So he took the rose out and put a holstered gun in the last panel, which is way more sexually suggestive than just a rose.
It's like, woohoo!
Yeah, what's going on.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah, like I said, he's been one of my favorite characters for years. I wish they'd do something with the original Nick Fury again, or Fury in general. I mean, it's just, I know they've disbanded Shield in the new modern Marvel comics, but
Well, the last thing I remember the real Nick Fury being involved in was that series that I was talking about to you earlier, the Original Sin.
Yeah, and the thing is he's become like the Watcher or something like that in that series, I think is what it is, and he's on the moon or something crazy. Mm-hmm. And that makes no sense. That's one of those storylines to me. It was good, but it had some parts that I want to go, really? This doesn't make good sense. But if you
there was two white Nick Furies, because there was one down in New York, but it was the real Nick's LMD.
Yeah, he thought he was Nick Fury, but he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Now I read, and see, that's what didn't. I read right before we got on earlier. I finally got a chance to read the new Daredevil Annual #1. Have you read it?
Nope.
Okay. Do you read Daredevil before I spoil anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
I saw the cover, which is probably like a giveaway.
Well, actually, not really, because the cover you saw is the one with it had Daredevil in a boxing uniform, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of a giveaway, not really though. If you read Daredevil long enough, and I've got a pretty much a whole set of Daredevil all the way back. I'm missing like a #1, and that's it. But if you read Daredevil in the early issues, 20, 21, something like that, I can't remember. He decides his being Daredevil's too much, so he wants to have fun, and he starts pretending to be his twin brother, Mike Murdock, who's really Daredevil. Okay, so he's got to pretend to be Mike Murdock, who can see and who's really Daredevil, and then he also pretends to be he's Matt Murdock at the same time, blind attorney and Daredevil. And then there's this love triangle between Matt and Mike and Karen all at the same time and all this crap. Well, in the Mark Waid run of Daredevil a couple years ago, I can't remember what happened, but Mike Murdock actually becomes a real person. Okay. Yep. I can't remember if it was the if it's a cosmic cube or something, but Mike becomes an actual person. In the new issue of Daredevil, the Red Hood has the Nordic stone, I think is what it was, and he manages to use it. Mike Murdock gets the Black Cat to steal it and a book, and then he uses the Nordic. I think it's the Nordic stone. I can't remember what it was called now, and I just read it, but uses it to actually try and become a real person, and actually kind of rewrites Marvel history, whereas he is a real person and is Matt's brother and remembers his dad and has a whole separate life in the whole issue. It's actually pretty good and creates a new character out of an old character. It's smart the way it's done, especially if you've read Daredevil for a long time.
Well, I used to read Daredevil way back. Not like early stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't discover Daredevil till I discovered my first comic shop when I was like 15. But yeah, I got into it, like all the Frank Miller stuff, and stuff afterwards. I was diehard reading that stuff.
Well, the Frank Miller is one of the best runs on Daredevil you'll ever read. The O'Neill had a run in there that's really good. At the same time, Ann Nacini, I think is her name, had a run.
Oh, Ann Nacini, yeah.
Yeah, she had a run with JR back before he quit drawing. That was in there that's really good. And all that's in the late hundreds to probably late 200s. That 100-issue run, about 8 years, is really good. But before that, if you read it, Daredevil was doing pretty good up until I guess about 50, and that's about the same time that X-Men tanked and they started going to reprints on X-Men, because it's 66 is the last new issue with X-Men, and then 67 to 94 are all reprints. And Daredevil was having horrible. It went to like twice monthly shipping or something, and they brought the Black Widow in 81 to try and spice up the book, and it wasn't until till Frank Miller come on that it got to be really hot again. But they did some really crazy stuff before that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
well, yeah, I want to give a big apology to everybody, because our friend that joined us earlier, Doug, was talking so long I didn't realize the clock was ticking, and I hit the go live button without even saying anything before the timer ran out. But as far as Facebook was concerned, it did not matter. So we were booted from Facebook, but it still went out to YouTube.
Oh, did it?
So I copied and pasted this onto the onto the page from YouTube. It's going to 2 YouTube channels. It's going to Outright Geekery and mine. So apologies for that, but we definitely got to start working on something for Doug giving us a giveaway.
Yep.
And that'll be the talk about comic shit episode. We won't be breaking down a book for that or nothing. We're just gonna talk comics.
That's it. Just talk about what you like.
Mm-hmm. And we'll do that. I got the plug in for Spin Wiz Comics, and that was when you were having difficulties with the audio.
Well, hopefully next week I'll have new internet service, and it's supposed to be a lot better than what I currently have, and we won't have any more issues.
Good. Well, we got to pick a book, don't we?
Yeah, I picked Nick Fury, so tell me what you want to do.
I want to get a cold beer and some tacos. Oh, for a book.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about?
Do it. Do, 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 do,
Yeah,
do.
let me. I'm looking up something real quick. I want to see if I can find one of my.
One of your what?
No, that's. I'm looking for like an old issue of Daredevil that I really liked.
Oh,
You know,
speaking of
old,
DVD.
old to me, not old to everybody else. How about Daredevil issue 158?
158. That's first Frank Miller, isn't it?
I think so.
Yep, it's got a guy on the cover on a gravestone jumping on Daredevil.
Yep,
Damn, I'm good.
that's that guy's first appearance too.
Yep. All right, we will do that. I'll get it up. Daredevil 158, then first Frank Miller. And then I guess we'll be back here next week.
Same comic time, same comic channel. Well, this is Will.
And this is Thomas.
And we'll see you next week for more OK Boomer.